Yeah, hi. My name's Oliver. I've got a small business actually called Saltwater Solar, um, and I've been in this game for about 6 or 7 years, installing, providing, designing renewable energy systems. And I've also got an interest in sustainability and sustainable building. So I've actually enjoyed today a fair bit, and I think I've learnt a bit myself. But today I'd like to talk to you about the philosophy more so than the technical aspects. And there's a lot of information out there, but I'm sort of interested in the reasons that we use that we do things. So there we go. There's a kit for a small solution, small sustainable solution for a village lighting system in East Timor that I've been involved in supplying. And but I did want to just touch on the idea of solutions, and I guess and there's a reason for it. I hope it becomes clear that sometimes we can concentrate on solutions a little bit too much. So this is a small solution for, I imagine, a small problem. And then, as you can see, there's a lot of people interested in providing solar solutions and total solar solutions, Victorian solar solutions. There's a lot of solutions out there. But it seems we've still got a few problems if we look at the bigger picture. Eco energy and solar solutions is one of my favourites, and there's probably another reason for this that is that it sounds pretty good, and I'm guilty of that myself. Yeah. So it's pretty, yeah, we're all like a good alliteration. And it sounds better than solar problems. But yeah, I think it gives the impression that if we follow a certain path as represented by one of these solution providers, our problems will be solved without very much effort at all on our part. And I think, and often it's presented in the form of a certain technology or a product that we need. So yeah, which is not and it talks to this philosophy of, I think it's called technological utopianism, that so then we're basically sitting around waiting for an answer in the form of a new technology, and it's not necessarily the way forward. And I think, yeah. So yeah, questions. I'd more like to focus on the questions. And I've actually got this cute little cartoon that I found on the net, where there's these two characters. One of them's collecting something in his little box. They meet each other in the park, and he's collecting questions. This big eye on a stick, And the other fella is this old fish-looking guy is a bit surprised, and he's collecting good old-fashioned answers. And so this guy, the young eye on a stick, explains why he's more interested in questions than in answers. So, and the importance of asking the right questions about sustainability in particular. So I don't know if you guys can read that, but yeah, too many actions have been based on answers, and they're pretty hard to get rid of once we've held on to them for a long time. So, and I think the relevance here, if I haven't explained it, is that to my line of work is that often people will want to install the solar system in their place, and then they want their lives to go on as they have before without any other changes. And it's that philosophy that I think is a little bit can be problematic, because often it won't have any impact on consumption of energy consumption if you and often actually consumption can go up. So and yeah, my interest, and the reason I got into this industry is because I am interested in making some, having a go at making some changes to the current consumption-based system. And so, yeah, solutions don't have much value without good questions. So I'm trying to ask some good questions, and to hold on to them, perhaps. So we don't have this philosophy of, okay, done that, we'll put in a solar system, and then that's the end of the matter. And a solution has a sense of success and finality about it, to provide a neat answer so that a question no longer needs to be asked. But our desire for solutions can have the effect of closing down and diminishing issues, where the effect of a question is to open something up to more thinking, even though they can leave us with feelings of unease. And I guess that's the thing that we're probably all concerned about if we're here today, is that this idea of our overconsumptive lifestyles, which is actually probably more a cultural problem, and we have been trying to find a technical solution to it. But that's not to say, I don't want to be on a total down, it's not to say it's not helpful. But I wanted to ask some good questions about why we're interested in renewable energy, and why we would possibly want to go off grid. So I came up with a few, and I don't know if you guys can agree with them or come up with some of your own. I don't know if anyone's got anything they want to add to that. Someone did suggest keeping up with the Joneses, which, and in my experience, has probably been a popular reason, but not necessarily a good one. So, yeah, anyway, I don't know if anyone's got any other reasons. Let me know if you do. And so then I thought would match these choices that we have to see like which of these motivations are fulfilled. So and so there's a couple of things, probably technical things that are really useful when we're talking about renewable energy and energy in general. And because basically to compare we need to measure. So a kilowatt hour is a very important concept that everyone's probably seen it on the energy bill, but I notice a lot of people don't necessarily know its meaning. So it's easy to get kilowatts mixed up with kilowatt hours. A kilowatt is a measurement of power that's basically instantaneous power, whereas a kilowatt hour is a measurement of energy. So energy either produced or used. So yeah, 1 kilowatt heater run for an hour uses 1 kilowatt hour. And also when you're designing, or when you're, say, auditing a load audit for a potential system design, it's important to know that even though something might be really powerful, like a toaster consumes 1,000 watts, but to compare a 1,000 watt toaster left on for 6 minutes, which is 1/10 of an hour, produces 0.1 kilowatt hours. Consumes, 0.1 kilowatt hours, so 100 watt hours, which is the same as a 10 watt light left on for 10 hours. It'll consume the same amount. So even though a toaster, a lot of people think, oh, am I going to be able to run my toaster on an off-grid system? And usually it's not a problem, although there's other ways to cook toast, but I don't have a problem with that. So yeah, that's the first and the most common renewable energy installation is the Grid Connect solar. And there's a couple of friends of mine running around on I think a very difficult job, I remember, in Kensington or something, all harnessed up on one of those old terracotta tile roofs. It was very hard not to break them. So basically Grid Connect solar is when you've got solar panels on the roof and you've got an inverter that converts the direct current electricity of the solar panels to energy or power of the type used inside of houses, which is 240 watts AC, or exported to the grid. Pretty common these days, and you guys probably know a lot about them. The cost, I guess, is one of the main reasons, like one of the main considerations for a lot of people. They want to be able to save money, and this is constantly changing, and I have a lot of trouble keeping up with the government changes, and haven't been paying too much attention lately, but I know the current government was doing all they can to get rid of the renewable energy target, which would impact small-scale solar systems. For the small-scale technology certificates they receive, it can be up to about 1/3 of the cost of the system, and so the government would say get their way, and that would reduce it by at first 1/3, and that it can impact the system cost a fair bit, and then they're basically pulling out support for large-scale systems. Although even talking about pulling out support has probably done as much damage by getting investors to withdraw their interest and go and invest somewhere else. So that's, but yeah, in terms of what motivations it answers, Grid Connect Solar, I don't know. I've left some blank if I wasn't really sure of the answer. Can make us feel less guilt about our extravagant lives, but that's usually up to us. Some people just like feeling guilty. Some people don't feel guilty about it. So can save money, depends on usage patterns. So generally if you use a lot of power during the day when the sun's out, this is because of the feed-in tariff changes, that'd be beneficial, but a lot of people use their power at night when they get home from work, so that means they've got to sell to the grid and buy back at night at a higher rate. So, and it doesn't mean we're going to be any more self-sufficient, because when the power company goes in blackouts, you just haven't got power like everyone else, and not going to survive Armageddon with electricity anyway, with usable electricity. So the other system would be basically a grid connect, but with batteries, and that can be for backup in power outages, or some people, when they realise that the extra cost of installing batteries often can double the cost of a system, they realise that we might as well just go off grid. And there's been a few examples of people doing that in town, which is, I love that. So you can basically cut the wire and run your own show. So much more fun to install too, to design and install. But this is a graphical representation of how an off-grid system will, a grid connect battery backup system will draw power out of the grid on that black line down the bottom. So we're drawing power out of the grid in off-peak times, and that's to heat up the electric hot water system, that black bar down there. And then the red line represents our total energy consumption over the course of the day. And so, and the blue line's the battery starter charge. So batteries overnight are discharged till around 60% or something in the morning. And then they're charged up when the sun comes up with that yellow. Until they reach ideally 100% every day. So it's all, pretty straightforward, I hope. But the thing is that the cost of batteries at the moment don't really work out financially. If that's one of your main motivations. This is, but they're coming down, consistently coming down. And so this is a German graph taken from reneweconomy.com.au, which is a really great renewable energy news service in Australia. So the green line is the decreasing cost of solar since 2007 till, where are we currently, there now somewhere. And so, and the black line represents the increasing cost of grid power in Germany, where it's currently apparently 30 euro cents. So it's about 42 cents Australian, which is a little bit more than we pay here. And so so solar systems are cheaper in Germany. Grid power is more expensive. So, and it's this differential that we're interested in. So they're saying now it's about 15 cents difference. And so what we need to make it worth going off grid, you need to be able to buy batteries and the extra balance of system work for less than 15 cents per kilowatt hour over the life of the system. And if it's to be financially viable, it's going to be cheaper. And so that's what they mean by battery parity. And so what's interesting in Australia, it'd be similar, but we can produce. I'm not sure on the cost of batteries per kilowatt hour. It's quite difficult to work out. But you can pretty much make solar yourself in a grid connect system for about 12 cents a kilowatt hour, and you're buying it off the grid for about 25. So already it's about half the cost, and there's about a 12 or 13 cents difference. So if we could only store that energy, we could say see you later to the grid altogether. But it's the cost of batteries that's the deciding factor in making it being accepted by the mainstream as a good option. Yeah. So yeah, we're not going to save money just yet, but it does give us a greater level of self-sufficiency. And whether or not you go cut the wire to the grid is really, I guess it's a question of philosophy, but also I guess it's good to keep in mind that if you do disconnect completely from the grid, where the grid's available, you would need to supply some alternate form of backup energy in the middle of winter, which usually would be a generator. But the grid actually works out to be a pretty cheap generator. So, but it's just a choice you make. And we've proven that you can survive the end of the Mayan calendar with a battery backup system in Melbourne, where we did install one for a guy, John, out in the suburbs. And we're in a bit of a rush before December 2012. For that reason, he had some idea that the world was going to be fine, but we're going to lose electricity. So he was pretty keen to get his system on. So whatever, and it worked perfectly. But I don't know.
If that happened, could you just cut them from the grid anyway?
So if what?
You had a solar system already.
Yeah.
It's hooked into the grid, and you want to make it off grid. That's just a simple wiring activity, isn't it?
Well, no, you need batteries.
As well,
yeah. Yeah, so that's the difference. You need a different type of inverter, and you need batteries. You need more money.
So you can't have both running at the same time?
Well, you can, yeah, but yeah, if you get a battery backup system where the grid's available, well, you can select yourself what your power source will be, but you can also get there's these inverters today called Selectronics SP Pro, made in Bayswater, made in Melbourne. They'll do all that for you. Actually, you can select at what times of the day you want to import energy, depending on the cost. You can also use it to export energy, or you can limit the export. So there's all kinds of options, and it can be really a fully integrated system. But yeah, that's the difference. That it's there's a lot of extra work, and there's the cost of batteries to go off grid. It's not just a matter of cutting the cables. Yeah, another really interesting option. Oh, okay. Community-funded solar plants, and the ATA has just released a new software package. I think about a month ago, so it's basically this model would be a community cooperative gets together and funds the installation of a solar system on a big business like Safeway or something that uses a lot of power during the day. But they're not inclined to do it themselves. It doesn't fit within their business model. So that's a really interesting thing. And if you look up Sunulator, it's a free software package made by ATA. And this is a screenshot from their results, their projections. 3 different system sizes, so which is not, so the first column should be something, I think it's 20 kilowatt, 50 kilowatt, or 100 kilowatt, something like that. So, and you can see the payback period for that. But yeah, check that out. It's if you're interested in that sort of model, because the commercial operations are basically a much better sell for solar because they use all their power during the day. A lot of commercial operations, and so it's actually it's a good way to, not just going to save money. That's all about making money, and it's a good way to bring companies around to this way of thinking, because it does actually save them a lot of money. Well, you'll make money, they'll save a little bit of money, because that's one option. And so the other one is good old off-grid solar in the bush. It's a system we put in kangaroo ground. Yeah, nice. That one's in near Bendigo, Epilock, a friend of mine. See the SP Pro inverter blinking out there, the yellow, beautiful yellow inverter. And that's a straw bale house. I actually helped him build a fair bit of that as well. It was good fun. So they're off-grid completely. Important to know how much energy you need before you. So this is the contract that any solar installer or designer needs to see, is how much power you think you're going to use and for an off-grid system. And so that's where you end up consuming less when you start looking at how much you actually use and how much it's going to cost to continue to use that amount. Then most people find it quite easy to reduce their costs by a large margin from what they would use on the grid. So yeah, and we do become self-sufficient. The other thing I wanted to just mention was off-grid communities or microgrids, which is pretty much the same as an off-grid house, but it's where a community would get together with a single or multiple power supplies and just basically share the energy, which does need a lot of management, but and hopefully also working in with like available energy on a sunny day. I'm sure people will realise that and do a few of their chores depending on the size of their system. So and that's something that energy companies now are probably a little bit worried about, when people start to realise that they can actually make and store and use their power themselves cheaper than it can be provided by these centralised organisations. It is a bit of a threat to their model, and there's I know in the States they're a bit more worried about it than we are here. I think our power generators are generally a bit behind the 8 ball with industry changes. So yeah, that's almost ticked all of those things. And thanks for listening.
Anyone got questions? Yeah.
Are there any examples of microgrids in Australia?
I think there's a community out in, I haven't actually been out near Healesville.
Yeah, Mora.
Mora, yeah, I think they is that microgrid or
I'm
they?
pretty sure that
Yeah.
it's microgrid up there, yeah.
Do they sell to each other? Like, are they just all sharing, or are they actually selling?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not
houses.
sure.
The electricity used between the houses, are they selling the electricity that they make to their neighbours, or are they just sharing it as a...
I'm not 100% sure in that. I can't quite answer that question for you, but it's a really incredible community out there. It's really worth checking out, and there is information online about the Mura community.
There's a house open tomorrow if you want to go check that out.
Oh, there you go. I'll be here.
people.
I know a lot of Aboriginal communities in Northern Australia have, basically set up like microgrids, which would be cooperatively owned power station where their power is distributed to like various houses, and they're also like limited in the way they get around. Yeah, they sort of, there's like essential loads and non-essential loads, which is sort of a little bit more. So they don't actually buy the power, but they do. Like the loads are limited when there's less energy available. Yep.
It seems to me everything's about the battery. What's battery technology? Lead acid, lithium, what sort of technology works best?
It really comes down to, I think, to life cycle cost. And at the moment, I'm pretty sure lead acid is still the best in that regard. Lead acid gel batteries, probably would last the longest, so probably get the best use out of them. I know lithium ion batteries are just becoming widely available, but it's not. I don't think they're just there yet. Yeah. Yep.
Is there a lot of difference between one solar panel and another?
There is. Yeah. Difficult to tell though. Yeah. One way is to there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of dodgy panels coming out. Yep. But it can be quite complicated to try and figure out. I mean, sometimes your guess is as good as mine. Just look at quality of construction. But I know there's some dodgy panels that are made that have like standard panels these days have 60 cells, but they'll put a lot more in because the voltage for each cell is lower, so they try and compensate for putting more cells in series. But that's not necessarily always the case. Yeah.
Are you better going for, say, German type solar panels versus Chinese type solar panels?
I think the way I look at that is we used to put in German shot solar panels all the time, but a lot of German companies don't produce anymore in Germany because they basically can't compete with solar solar made in China. So a company like German Solar is owned by a Danish mob, and everything, and all the production facilities are in China. So what I'd like to do is avoid companies like that, and so go for someone like Yingli, which is proudly made in China. And so I think they're not trying to hide that. And then I think that probably speaks more to their level of quality if they're proud about where they come from. Yeah.
Just one more.
Professional inverters for me. So I had a solar system installed recently, and there's so many people ringing up with different quotes and different reusing this brand was SMA, and this one's another one.
Yeah.
Is there really a big difference, or is it a bit of a spin, a bit of a marketing spin?
Oh, it's like everything. There's a huge difference, but it's a whole lot of it's just spin as well. I mean, we used to put in these Fronius inverters made in Austria. We thought, that's pretty good. I mean, but so many things, it changes so often that it's hard to have any real experience with, like, is this particular model going to last for what they say it's going to? Because technology is moving so fast. But these, if Fronius inverters had a 5-year warranty, and they pretty much all went after about 5.5 years. So, but they were the top of the line at the time. But you can, there are certain brands now that have sort of come out like as being, much higher quality. Yeah. Yep.
Sorry. One more.
Yeah.
See what?
Although I was just wondering if you were going to build off grid, what would be your preferred system in solar, and like how you set it all up?
How I do it? Well, I'd go. Well, wow. I'd what you mean? What sort of equipment would I use, or what sort of?
Yeah, I guess like panels and inverter and how big you think the system needs to be.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I'd probably go. I reckon smaller is often better, and that's because I'd like to think of the batteries as not so much a consumable, but like it's a product that is going to have to. It has a cycle life. It has a limited life, and so go small is kind of good, and then much easier to if you can. What do they say? It's easier to save a watt than to produce a watt. So anything you can do in that first instance to have a look at your actual like what you need to consume is a lot easier than and cheaper. Well, I'll come out and put as many solar panels on your roof as you like, but yeah, that's what I'd do.
Reduce consumption.
Yeah, that's what do they say? It's like it's now I think the first energy short, but this is like this one. I mean that's like an ideal little system. 1.2 kilowatts, SP Pro. They don't come in that colour anymore though. Now they're much more suited to modern designer homes, like light grey, kind of boring. Yeah. But everyone's different, I guess that's the thing.
I'll go a real quick one.
Yep.
If I've got 10 grand's worth of batteries, and that's going to last for 10 years, that's $1,000 a year.
Yeah.
Now that sounds better to me than 4 or 5 grand's worth of electricity bills. So I've got no doubt that German graph you showed us was absolutely correct. That it still doesn't make sense financially, but my back of the envelope calculation is kind of like I'd rather spend $1,000 a year saving up for my batteries that I need to replace in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think the difference is when you're on batteries, you are limiting your energy use. Like I'd probably need 20 grand's worth of batteries to meet my, $5 grand a year worth of grid supplied electricity. Maybe that's what's going on, but I'm not factoring into my calculation.
Well, that's it. I guess it does. It depends on how complicated you want to get with your calculations, doesn't it? And I guess that there's all these things. Are they externalities or are they things that are going to cost us in the long run? So, yeah.
Comment on those. We've got an off-grid solar farm, and our system is planned to have 3 days worth of backup, and we did that because it was cheaper than actually getting a grid connection to our property. But yeah, when we designed the system, we designed it for 3-day storage, so you have 3 cloudy days, you can still run your necessary electric. So I think in terms of your battery cost, it's also factoring in that lag time and how much storage you actually want to have.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have to move on.
Yep.
But,
Okay.
Thanks.